in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. The Cincinnati Bengals winners 31-14 over their rival Cleveland Browns. Dave Lapham was on the call on the First Star Logistics Bengals radio network. And Lap, anytime you can win, especially against an AFC North rival, you'll take it, especially against the Browns.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, Cleveland Browns are heading to the playoffs. They're the 5th seed, in the playoffs. And the Bengals got embarrassed in week 1 in the opener up there in Cleveland. And for a good part of this football game, built a 31-0 lead and embarrassed Cleveland pretty well statistically, and end up cruising to a 31-14 victory. So they split the Battle of Ohio, and that gives them their first division win. You didn't want to go winless in the division. Tennessee won a division game today, so they were the only other team in the AFC, American Football Conference, that didn't have a division win. So everybody in the AFC is going to win at least one division game. Nobody gets shut out in that regard. So that's good. And the Bengals finished with a winning record for the 3rd year in a row. A winning record obviously was, from a goal standpoint, well down there. They wanted to win the division, then they wanted to make the playoffs and be a wild card. Those were if not win the division, those were the top 2 goals. So 500 or a winning record over 500 is down the list, but at least they got that. And really, history was made today for the first time since 1935. You have a division that had every single member in that division finish with a winning record. I mean, it's crazy. Back in 1935, you had the NFC, the National Football League West, and they had teams that everybody finished with a winning record. And the Cleveland Browns the Detroit Lions won that division. They won the NFL title that year. So that's a big piece. That's a little piece of history right there, that the Bengals are part of a division that every single team had a winning record. Like last year, it could have happened with the NFC East, but Washington finished with an 8-1 record, so they didn't finish above 500. Teams or divisions have had years where everybody has finished with a 500 record or better, but everybody to have a winning record or better, that's a rarity. And the Bengals, as part of the AFC North, which is the toughest division in football, get that done.
When you look at things, Dave, yes, the Browns didn't play a lot of guys, kind of like the Bengals here previous season. But it was a game where guys were looking to set some marks. And one of those guys was Joe Mixon, who has a year left on his contract. But as you know, things in the NFL can change. And but Joe Mixon ends up getting a rushing touchdown. He becomes 2nd all time in rushing touchdowns behind a guy you know real well, Pete Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Mixon is a guy that is consistent. I mean, the coaches love Joe Mixon because he gives them a consistent effort, and that is that he's going to give everything he's got every single snap of every single game. Joe Mixon never taps out. Joe Mixon never does not show up. I mean, he always answers the bell. And 111 yards on 14 carries today, and a rushing touchdown. Joe was part of a scenario where I think he had 5 rushes of 10 yards or more. And as a team, the Bengals had 8. Brown had 2 rushes of 10 yards or more, and Browning had 1 rush of 10 yards or more. So they had 8 carries that were, considered explosive, 10 yards or more on the ground. It was pretty effective. And the Bengals got that ground game going. I thought that was a big key in the football game. They had 183 yards rushing on 30 carries. I mean, they said we're gonna get after it. We're gonna run the football. We're not gonna, be one-dimensional here. And they ended up, running the football for more snaps than they threw the football, which is unusual in the Zach Taylor era, and it paid dividends.
In the 3rd quarter, Jamar Chase gets a 4th reception on the game. It makes him a 100 reception receiver for the season, only the 3rd Bengal to do that, and a big number for Chase to reach for the season.
It really is. I mean, the other 2 are T.J. Hurshmanzada with 112, and Carl Pickens, had 100, and now Jamar Chase has 100. That's a huge number. I mean, this guy's a unicorn. For him to be out there playing, I think is impressive. And like he said, his he put it at 73% is what his shoulder was operating at. So he's out there trying to play and make contributions, and he's one of a kind. I mean, there's not another receiver in the National Football League that physically and mentally have the things that Jamar Chase has for a combination. I mean, it is, his traits are very, very highly unusual and extraordinary in some cases. So he's a unicorn. He is definitely one of a kind. The other guy I want to give a bunch of kudos to is a guy that we're both good friends with, and in First Star Logistics, he's friends with everybody there. That's Sam Hubbard. I mean, Sam Hubbard, I asked him after the game in the locker room, I said, Sam, how many games were you messing with that high ankle sprain? 7 weeks. High ankle sprain, tibia and fibula pull apart. And you got the soft tissue damage in there. I said, when you having surgery, Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday. Having surgery Wednesday. He played on an ankle for 7 weeks that needs surgery. And it's going to have a surgery immediately as soon as they can schedule it here, get it scheduled after the season. I always had a high dose of respect for Sam Hubbard and his toughness. It's just moved it off the charts. I mean, I know what that's like to try to play through those type of injuries, and to do it for 7 weeks. Man, dude's got a pain tolerance. He's got a dedication to the game, to his team, to his performance. I mean, Sam Hubbard is a unique, special dude as well.
Yeah, it was good to see him get a sack today. And that brings me to Trey Hendrickson, got a half sack with B.J. Hill. I think that was the only one on the day for him, and he may come up short, but man, what a Bengals career Trey Hendrickson is putting together.
Yeah, he's a force. I mean, you get a guy, 17 and a half sacks in 17 games, and didn't get a full sack. So that string of 7 straight games with at least a full sack has ended. But he did show up. I mean, he was on the board with a half a sack. So that's the thing about him. It's not a situation where he has a guy who shouldn't be in the league, and he gets 5 or 6 sacks off the guy. He just gets his sack and a half, his 2 sacks every single week. I mean, his consistency of performance is something that people should strive to be. It's off the charts. It really is. That guy is all out every single play. He's going to try to get the best of you, and he's going to do it within the rules. No cheap shots, nothing. Nothing but respect for the way Trey Hendrickson plays the game.
We're talking with Dave Lapham in the trenches, presented by First Star Logistics. Lap, hard to believe, our final post-game call of the season, and we got to talk. I mean, we talk about the future with the playoffs out of touch this season. A lot about the young guys, and early on, Jordan Battle got his first career interception. He's one of those young guys we got to watch.
Absolutely. I mean, he had the great interception. Lou Anarumo was blitzing him. He'd have him in the box as a linebacker and in playing run defense that way, and he blitzed him. He blitzed him in passing down situations. He knows he's got a Swiss Army knife with Jordan Battle that he can do a lot of things with, because the kid has not only a body that can do a lot of things from a versatility standpoint, he has a mind that can understand what Lou Anarumo wants him to do, from a versatility standpoint. And when you have a guy like that, that's a huge plus. He's part of a position group, though, that I'd love to see what they're going to be like next year, because honestly, they struggled during the course of the season with recognition and communication. It was too quiet back there, and the trickle down linebackers didn't have the season they normally had because the communication was too late or not at all, and guys were on different pages. And I mean, this defensive football team gave up 79 plays of 20 yards or more coming into this football game in 16 weeks. That's one short of 5 per game. You can't live in the National Football League doing that. Now, today it was a lot better, but now with an off season to reflect and to understand more and in a higher level of what they're being asked to do and how they're being asked to do it, and an off season to study more, to get your body even bigger and stronger and faster and all that. I'm very, very anxious to see their development from year 1 to year 2, because I remember how it was for me as a year 1 to year 2 player, and talking to other players that have played in the National Football League for a big period of time. Year 1 to year 2 is when you can make your biggest jump. And collectively, that group on the back end makes their biggest jump, they can all run, man. They can all run like a deer. But, running like a deer prevents, you can have recovery speed and prevent a big play from being a touchdown. But if you don't have it down mentally, they're going to be big plays against you. It doesn't matter how fast you run if you're in the wrong spot. So I'm excited about what this football team is going to be like next year on the back end and in general. And let's face it, Dave, when Joe Burrow has remained healthy, they've gone to the AFC Championship and they've gone to the Super Bowl. When he hasn't remained healthy, they haven't sniffed it. So you got to keep Joe Burrow healthy. You can't, hopefully have a season where the football gods say a key contributor is not going to miss an extended period of games, like Jamar Chase, missed 5 games last year and missed some this year. Hopefully all the significant contributors to the football team stay healthy and intact together, because this football team can be elite, but it has to stay healthy.
Another one of those young guys on the offensive side, Andrei Iosivas, 5 catches, 36 yards reception, 2 touchdowns today. A chance for him to really kind of step forward and show what he's got, because a lot of question marks about the future of some guys, Tyler Boyd being one of those guys, may have played his last game as a Bengal. Iosivas, is a guy that has a lot of tools, still putting it together.
Yeah, Iosivas, he did a good job of, extending plays when he needed to and getting on the same page as Jake Browning. And, Iosivas, 5 catches, 2 of them touchdowns. 40% of his catches in this football game were for scores. That'll work. That dog will hunt. And plus, he's a big contributor as a gunner in other spots on Darren Simmons' special teams. So this rookie class, all 8 draft guys in this rookie class, everybody had a role, be it special teams or be it offense or defense. And by the end of the season, everybody had expanded their roles. So Iosivas being somebody that, they want to take a good long look at, because let's face it, the big 3 has been intact for a while. It's like, okay, you don't need a stud tight end because it's a wide receiver centric offense. And the tight end, they've gotten production as a group out of the tight end position. They got more catches and yards out of the tight end group this year than they got last year, with Hayden Hurst even in the mix. So everybody contributes. Everybody does a little. Nobody has to do a lot at the tight end position. But with the fact that the big 3 may be broken up, maybe it might not be as wide receiver centric, depending on how the young guys advance or don't. And you might say in the draft or free agency, geez, maybe we could utilize the tight end a little bit more, very easily adapt to it. Joe Burrow would not have an issue incorporating a tight end in the offense, maybe a little bit more, if they feel like they've got that on staff, on the roster already. Fine, let's roll with it. But yeah, there could be a shift, in how the ball is distributed, based on who's there and who's not. But the odds are the big 3 will not be back as a group.
One guy that probably his future is probably set is at quarterback. We know about Joe Burrow, what he can do. Jake Browning cemented himself as the backup, I feel, going forward. 18 of 24, 156 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception today against the Browns in a big win. And, this young man has earned what he's going to get.
No question. On the first possession, threw an interception. Did he fall apart? Hell no. Compartmentalized, moved on. 75% completion percentage, 18 of 24. In his prior 6 starts to this, he was over 76%, which was number 1 in the NFL over that 6-week period. His 1,700 plus yards passing was number 1 in the NFL over that 6-week period. He had only 156 today, so I don't know how all the numbers will add up and spew out. But this guy, he not only played, he played at a very high level. He ends up throwing 3 touchdown passes after suffering that interception. Quarterback rating 113.9. Quarterback rating for the 7 games of just under 100. He went 4-3 in those football games. I think if a lot of people were told before the season, Joe Burrow is going to be out for the final 7 games of the season and 3/4 of an 8th game. And what do you think? You think the Bengals are going to have a winning record? I'll guarantee you that not a whole lot of people would vote for the winning record. Well, Jake Browning stepped up. Jake Browning took advantage of his opportunity. Opportunity knocked, and he opened that door wide and played at an extremely high level. Now, will he be a starter right away in the National Football League? Who knows? There's a lot of talent in the collegiate level coming out in this year's draft. But like you said, Dave, he is the Cincinnati Bengals are sold on him as a backup, and I'll guarantee you the 31 other teams in the National Football League are sold on him in a backup position, worst case scenario. And there's worse lives to live than being a backup quarterback in the National Football League, making a good chunk of change, and not necessarily having to get your body beaten up, but when called upon, be able to respond. And that's the thing that everybody's going to realize. I mean, this wasn't just put the fire out for a quarter or a half or a game or whatever. He was the guy for 7 starts, and he finished over 500, and he put up big numbers. He had historic numbers for a guy for his first 2 and 3 starts in the National Football League. He just didn't play. He played his tail off. And, if it doesn't work out with the Bengals for a nice contract as a backup situation, there's 31 other teams that have taken great notice of Jake Browning. There's no doubt. And the thing is, he showed it with his feet again today too, Dave. I mean, he rushed for 18 yards on a couple of carries. He had an 11-yard run himself. So he had one of the explosive plays, rush of over 10 yards, and he extended plays when he got out of pocket, making people miss and showing some elusiveness as a quarterback. I mean, the guy can play. Bottom line, he can play. I think he's one of the biggest stories of the season.
A guy that we didn't talk about a lot this season, but had a decent game. It looked like today, without looking at film, just seeing him flash was on defense was Joseph Asai, and he's going to be fighting for a roster spot come next camp, because you also have Murphy, who we saw his role expand throughout the year.
Yeah, but I think Joseph Asai, it's unfortunate. Joseph Asai, in my mind, is a 2-year player, even though he's 3 years in the NFL. He missed his whole rookie year because of injury. I mean, he got hurt in training camp, never played a snap. So now it's his second year, and he missed a good part of this year because of injury. He wasn't available, but he's been available now for a while, and he was like, frothing at the mouth, trying to get in there and show what he can do. Big tackle for loss, big pressure, hit the quarterback's arm, ball goes airborne, interception. Shoot, I'll take that over a sack any day. Are you kidding me? A turnover caused by your pass rush? Joseph Asai flashed. Joseph Asai has some traits. He checks a lot of boxes. I mean, this kid, he ended up playing some defensive tackle in the nickel form. He played some edge. You can never have enough players on your edge rotation. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't give up on that guy. I think that guy has got a lot of potential.
You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics, doing our final post-game call after the Bengals end up with a winning record at 9-8 and a win over the Cleveland Browns. That we'll take that any day. And Lap, we have to talk about First Star Logistics' final giveaway from this season. They were doing a giveaway every week the Bengals played this past season. Awesome prizes given away. And the last one includes you. You get to go to dinner at Jeff Ruby's along with Malik Wright, and some lucky winner that'll be announced probably sometime Monday, Tuesday by First Star Logistics. And but we just can't get over with all the things that First Star Logistics do.
Well, Jeff Ruby's is known as one of the best, if not the best, restaurant that Cincinnati has to offer. So no shock that First Star Logistics, in the way they do everything first class, sending us to Ruby's for a dinner. And I know one thing, I don't mind a good steak, no doubt about that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be some good grub, some probably adult beverage, some football stories will be thrown around. We're going to have fun with a winner that appreciates the game of football. So that'll be a great night. Really looking forward to it.
Again, the Bengals 31-14 winners over the Cleveland Browns, finished 9-8. Lap, how hard is it when you played for the Bengals 10 seasons, and you had those times where it was time to pack up the locker and know that there could be uncertainty to the season ahead, that you report back for all the different OTAs and mini camps and things like that, and workouts that you have to do on your own, and your NFL future for some guys hanging in the balance. Don't know if you're going to be back in Cincinnati or somewhere else when you're packing everything away and getting ready to head home for the off season.
Dave, that's one of the more difficult parts of being a professional athlete, of playing in the National Football League, is when the season ends, the composition of the team you just played for is going to be different. Everybody's not back. And that's just the nature of the beast. That's a given. It is uber competitive. The average career of an NFL player is still less than 4 years. So, I mean, if you're able to hang on for 4, you're beating the odds. And there's not a football team. All 32 are going to have roster changes. There's salary cap scenarios that dictate it. There's just, guys getting a little long in the tooth, and they were on the back 9 going into the season. And now they're putting on 18 as they finish the season, from a career standpoint in terms of years played and snaps taken and body worn on and all that sort of thing. So there's a myriad of reasons why the team's going to be constructed differently, but it's going to be different. And you look around and you say, I wonder who it's going to be. I'm going to have to say goodbye to some friends and try to make some new relationships and new friends. And particularly in the offensive line where, you really do make bonds with guys. You become lifelong friends. I do want to give some kudos to this year's offensive line. Every single guy started 17 football games. And you're not 100% healthy every week of the season to go play, the games in the National Football League. But everybody sucked it up and started and played a preponderance of the snaps together. And, I mean, these guys are close. The Super Bowl offensive line that I played on in 1981-82. I mean, it's lifelong friendships with those guys. And these guys feel the same way. So when that changes and you lose a guy that you've been going to battle with and you do anything for, if you mess with one of us, you're messing with all of us kind of mentality. That is a very, very unique bond from a workplace standpoint. You're never going to find another job like it if, in fact, you're not playing anymore in the National Football League, or, if you are, you have to try to establish those relationships, at another place, and then hope you see your old friends down the road somewhere sometime. So that's the unique part of the business, and sometimes it can be a tough part of the business, and sometimes it can be an exciting time of the business. Man, we got this high pick. When Anthony Munoz got drafted, I'm like, I can't wait to see this guy. I mean, gosh, the way they're talking about him. And then when I saw him, I'm like, oh my God, he's more than was advertised. I mean, this guy is like, I mean, I've never seen anything like this. So you're excited about, that kind of an addition to your football team. So that's the unique part of life in the National Football League.
Well, the NFL season may be over for the Cincinnati Bengals, but it's not for In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. We got a lot of stuff. We want to say a lot of thank yous to Lap because, players, coaches have taken time throughout the season to give it to us and come on In the Trenches with you. And we can't thank them enough for doing that. But we got a lot of stuff that'll be coming up. The second annual First Star Logistics Draft Party. We were told that's 100% a go. Just this week. And so we look forward to seeing everybody out live at that as well. But, man, it's hard to believe we're early January and we're not going to be talking about the Bengals playing in the postseason. But I'm sure you have a lot of people you want to thank, Lap.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And first and foremost, want to thank the coordinators, offensive coordinator Brian Callahan, defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo. Every time we asked them to be part of In the Trenches, they were gracious enough to do it and give of their time. And a lot of times it's difficult because they're in the throes of, putting together a game plan and they still find time to catch up with us and to communicate with our people that want to hear what they've got to say, in the trenches. So can't thank those guys enough. My goal is to have all 3 of those guys and then both of those guys and Darren Simmons to do a State of the Union here real quickly next week in the trenches, get all 3 of the coordinators on to talk about, the season just ended and in the future that's rapidly approaching. And then obviously we've got a bunch of players that have joined us through the course of the season, current and former coaches, scouts, broadcast people, the Sims family, Dad Phil and son Chris. Boomer Esiason, Chris Collinsworth. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I start naming too many names. I know I'm gonna leave names out. I mean, Solomon Wilcots, Lewis Breeden. It's just the list. The list is very, very lengthy and very, very impressive, and feel extremely fortunate to be able to sit down and talk football with guys that had such an impact on the game of football. So looking forward to doing it again, Dave, and you do a tremendous job putting it all together and getting it out there to people, and nobody works harder at their craft than Dave Berk, and just outstanding what you do to spruce it up, spice it up with video, with everything that you do, it's a joy. It's a joy to be part of, and I don't take it for granted, and I really look forward to doing it.
Well, thank you for the kind words, Lap. I enjoy being with you every week in the trenches, and it's hard to believe over 3 million views on YouTube since we started this little project, and another million in audio downloads in that course of that time. And we encourage everybody, if you haven't already, check it out. Make sure you subscribe, follow, like, and also look at the other content being put out by the First Star Media Group with the Malik Wrights and the Joe Goodberries. And we look forward to having, like we said, the draft party it was a blast last year when First Star Logistics did that. I can't wait for the next one, because we know it's going to be bigger and better. And it's going to be hard to top that one, but that's what First Star Logistics does all the time with everything they do. And we can't thank them enough for allowing us to do In the Trenches with Dave Lapham. And Lap, I'm going to let you close it out, because again, if you haven't had a chance, there's still a little bit of time left for the giveaway. First Star Logistics final giveaway of this season. Take part in that. Maybe you be the winner and you'll be having dinner with Dave Lapham and Malik Wright at Jeff Ruby's restaurant. And but Lap, I'm going to let you say the final words of the final post-game call of In the Trenches with Dave Lapham for the Bengals 2023 season.
Well, I've enjoyed each and every one of them, and I wish we were going to be doing more, but unfortunately we're not. But like you said, Dave, the one thing about Kevin and First Star Logistics, the company that he loves and continues to build an empire with, they don't settle. I mean, it's like, all right, we've done this, we're going to do that and more. It's like, let's leave what we've done for our best performance in the dust, and let's set another bar. Let's raise the bar, and that's what it's all about. Kevin sets a high bar, and we try to reach it. So we're going to try to do a little bit more and do it a little bit better. And that's what it's life's like at First Star Logistics, and that's what life's like in the National Football League. I mean, it's just being average isn't good enough. You got to be the best. You got to be the best of the best. You got to be amongst the best of the best. You have to compete with the big boys, and to have success and live and survive in the National Football League. And that's the way we approach it at First Star Logistics as well. And everybody pushes everybody else for peak performance, and that's what it's like in the National Football League, man. You love your teammates, because they're not only working as hard as they possibly can, they're pushing you to be a better version of yourself. And that's what First Star Logistics is all about as well. So I can see a lot of analogies between what the Bengals are trying to get done on a week-to-week basis in the National Football League and what we're trying to get done with First Star Logistics, Dave.
The Cincinnati Bengals 31-14 winners over the Cleveland Browns to finish 9-8 on the season. No playoffs, but you can be finding more In the Trenches with Dave Lapham on First Star Media Group and on Dave Lapham In the Trenches, presented by First Star Logistics. For Dave Lapham, this has been Dave Berk. Thank you for being with us. We look forward to seeing you in the trenches next week.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.